to introduce and to in anticipation for the 9th Likhang Habi Textile Fair in Glorieta 2 on October 11 to 13. So as our 9th year, we are continually looking to support communities that weave around the Philippines. So I'd like to introduce Adelaide Lim to talk about the fair, the participants. I'm sorry, don't bite, sorry.
I hope my voice carries. Anyway, hi. I'm Adelaide Lim, and I've been working with Habi for since it started, from day one. And we got together because we thought that Philippine textiles is something that we should treasure and something that should be preserved. And when we started our advocacy, we found that Philippine textiles was actually dying. It was on the decline. And we thought that since this is something that defines our identity, that it should be made known to more people. So we figured out, we went around to meet the weavers and see what conditions they work in. And we thought that one of the things needed was to bring the weavers or give the weavers access to markets. So we organized this bazaar, and we invite weavers from all over the country to come over and show their works. And in that experience, they get to meet customers, so they get to know what the customers are interested in. Also, they get to meet designers who will tell them, okay, if you use a different color, it will be more attractive, or we're more interested in this. Another thing we discovered was that weavers were not using natural textiles. And nowadays, there's that interest in what's natural and natural textiles. So we started to work with cotton and other natural fibers to encourage weavers to do this, because we figured that if they work with natural textiles, they would have a product or a textile that would be of interest to a larger market than the local one. And we wanted to make it so that our textiles are not just your native costume. It's something that you wear every day. So I'm wearing something that was woven by one of our weavers from Aklan. And so this is pure cotton, and they have combined it with pineapple fiber, so it gives it that sort of linen-y look. And there are some other examples there. So this bazaar, our weavers come, they bring their textiles, they meet the customers and the buyers. They're able to upgrade. So I have stories of weavers who started off very, very shy. And in fact, I had to twist their arm. Come naman and have join our bazaar. But now they're doing so well. One of them was our top seller, from some shy girl from Kalinga, okay? She comes here and she brings her stuff, and now she has a following. People wait for her, for every bazaar, to see what she's going to come up with now. And we hope that this happens more often to more weavers, because we're really affecting not the Makati or Manila economy, but the local economy. And you should see how these weavers have grown. Like this one that I mentioned in Kalinga, she's now building a museum of textiles in her town, and that's from the sales of our bazaar. So that's why we continue to do this for the other weavers. But this bazaar is more than just selling textiles. We're also going to have programs like the Crafts Corner, where mothers can leave their children, or mothers themselves can join to learn how to weave. So there's a model room there, so we will have activities like that. There will be also...
This is the sample of the Kalinga.
The textile, this one. Yeah.
So you're speaking about the weaver that started with synthetic and now is hand embroidering. This is is, oh,
What year did she start with you, Lida?
Siguro mga 3 years ago.
she's our best seller
Yeah,
now.
she's one of our top sellers.
And she gets inspired by nature, so this is flower for
Like
you.
a famous talaga.
So, and what happened here was she did some research and she went to the bowls of her grandmothers and took out what they had stopped making and she brought it out again. See? So it's very contemporary and yet it's based on something that was done a long time ago. And now she's brought it back.
And all of us are all wearing something Filipino from Randy. All of the happy. This is embroidered.
Okay.
If you
So,
need information on the weaver, we can send it to you.
yes. Any questions? So,
They're overwhelmed pa.
but anyway, that's what you can look forward to at the bazaar. We've been at it for almost a decade now, and we're not about to stop because it's really very encouraging, more for the weavers than for us.
So next I'd like to introduce Maribel Hongbin, and she will talk about Habi's advocacies aside from the bazaar.
Okay, you know, in 2009, there was a symposium here called the Asian Traditional Textile Symposium that was presented to us to host by Indonesia, by the Indonesian Textiles Society called the Himpunan Wastra Prema. And considering we did host, and we were not the Textile Society at that time. I was with the Museum Foundation of the Philippines, but we took it over because there was no Textile Society in the Philippines. So after that symposium, Lida and I decided that it's time to have our own Textile Society considering the varied and unique kinds of indigenous fabrics that we have. So that's what we started, and the idea was to go to weaving communities, see what they were doing, and publicize what they had. That's why we started a market fair, and it turned out that we saw that the weavers were not doing well, that people had forgotten about indigenous fabrics more or less, I mean except for piña, and therefore they were not, not getting enough of an income, which means that eventually it was going to decline. Because why will you do it if you cannot make a living out of it? So that was one of the things that we discovered. The second thing was they were so isolated in the rural areas. The second thing we noticed is that they were using synthetic thread. Okay? Now, synthetic thread has its uses, but it doesn't command the price that a natural fiber would command. Because now the modern world, we have plastic and everything else. Now we're looking for natural fibers like cotton, abaca, piña. Okay? So, little by little, by actually donating and giving them cotton thread, I think I can say now, we were able to win them away from synthetic fiber, even if it was cheaper, because they can now command better prices with natural fibers. So that's one of our advocacies. And that led to the advocacy of planting more cotton. Because cotton has always been a farm product of this country, even if it's only 200 square meters or 150 square meters. In the Cordillera, the Cordillera fabrics of yesteryear were made with cotton that was grown in their backyards and spun by them. So that is what we have been doing, and I have to say that we have been very well supported by a government agency called the Philippine Fiber Development Authority. They have gone to the Visayas, they have gone to the north, northern Luzon, and now they are in the Central Visayas, and of course Mindanao has always been, they have a roadmap for the production of cotton, for encouraging farmers. They give the seeds, etc. And we, Habi, we already have farmers who we have contracted to plant cotton, and we buy all the production. Okay, we've been doing that for the past, I would say, 5 years. So, mostly in Panay Island. Okay, so those are our advocacies. We go to the grassroots. We see people who have potential, encourage them, and bring them, to the market fair, because that becomes a lesson in entrepreneurship for them. Then they start to see the other products. They start to see what the clients want. Then they start to learn how to manage their finances, how to price. Now, we encourage them to get a good profit, but we do not encourage high prices for the sake of what the market will bear. No. I mean, and actually, our vendors, being from rural areas, you will notice they're very happy with the modest profits, and some of them make connections with clients right here. We never involve ourselves in their transactions. We don't get anything out of it. It's purely for them. We have introduced weavers, for example, to New York designers, and until now, ongoing orders they send to, they send the design, etc. These are the kinds of things. Then we also have to say that we have seen weavers actually progress. I mean, one of our weavers she was a very good weaver. When we saw her, she had a little atelier at the back of her house in Aklan, and she had a one-story house. So let's say 5 years later, meron na siyang 2-story house, better atelier, more people. And the other thing that you will notice if you go to rural areas, if there's a market, even the men can weave. And they will weave. They do that in Ilocos, they do that in Aklan. So basically, the encouragement or the advocacy of preserving and developing and modernizing, for the modernizing use of indigenous fabrics, really brings up the level of the rural economy. And it empowers women, because most of the most of the weavers are women. And that helps a lot, because the profits go to education, go to healthcare, go to their house, etc. So if you have any questions, be happy to answer.
Mentioned our books, our publications.
Yes, one of our advocacies is really to show the world our indigenous fabrics and indigenous material that we weave. So we have a manual on Philippine fabrics called Habi. It has all from tinalak to vinacol to piña. And then we came out 2 years ago with a book on Philippine mats. And that's the first book of Philippine mats for the last 100 years. The last time was in 1912 or 1910 when the American occupation came. So those are our contributions, and that's part of our advocacy. So I hope that you will be curious enough to come to the fair. One of the things we're pushing is that I think the consciousness about indigenous fabrics has already risen to a certain level that was not here in 2009. So we're encouraging our vendors not only to bring the finished product, but to bring materials that you can buy by the meter. Because fashion designers are always calling us, where can we buy this, where can we buy that? Come to the market fair. Okay, thank you.